It was an ordinary summer afternoon, the kind where the world outside seemed to hum lazily under the golden sunlight. I was lounging in my bedroom, absent-mindedly scrolling through my phone when I heard a faint rustling sound coming from my brother's room. Nothing unusual, except the noise persisted. Curiosity piqued. I tiptoed down the hall to investigate. My brother, Jake, was always the quiet type, more interested in books and art than sports or roughhousing like the other boys his age. He was a year younger than me, and although we shared a close sibling bond, he had become increasingly withdrawn lately, choosing solitude over our usual movie marathons or sibling banter. I had chalked it up to teenage mood swings, but something in that moment made me pause at his door. The door was slightly ajar, enough for me to catch a glimpse of something unexpected. Jake, standing in front of his mirror, holding one of my dresses up against his body. My heart skipped a beat. At first, I didn't know what to think. Was this a prank? Was he trying to be funny? But as I watched him closely, I realized this wasn't a joke. The way he carefully studied himself in the mirror, the look of wonder in his eyes, it was as if he was seeing a different version of himself, a version he was drawn to, but afraid to acknowledge. I quietly backed away from the door, giving him a space, but my mind was spinning. Why was my brother trying on my dress? What did this mean? Was he struggling with something he couldn't talk about? Over the next few days, I couldn't stop thinking about what I had seen. It was clear Jake was hiding something, and as his sister, I felt a responsibility to support him, no matter what he was going through. A few days later, I decided to confront him, not in an accusatory way, but in a way that would let him know I was there for him. We were sitting in the living room, and I figured it was as good a time as any to bring it up. Jake, I began carefully, can I ask you something? He looked up from his book, his eyes meeting mine with a hint of apprehension. What's up? I hesitated for a moment, unsure of how to phrase what I had seen. I noticed the other day that you were in my room. You were looking at one of my dresses. I paused, watching his face flush red with embarrassment. Jake's eyes widened, and he quickly looked away, his voice barely a whisper. You saw that? I nodded, offering him a gentle smile. Yeah, I did.
And it's okay.
I'm not mad or anything. I just want to understand. For a long moment, there was silence. Jake shifted uncomfortably in his seat, clearly struggling to find the words. When he finally spoke, his voice was small and filled with uncertainty. I don't know why I did it, he admitted. I've always liked dresses. Not just your dresses, but all kinds of girls' clothes. I don't know what's wrong with me. Hearing the vulnerability in his voice broke my heart. Jake had always been the kind of person who kept his feelings bottled up, but in that moment, I realized how much he had been carrying all by himself. I reached over and gently took his hand. There's nothing wrong with you, I said firmly. It's okay to like dresses, Jake. It's okay to feel however you feel. You're still my brother no matter what. He looked at me, his eyes brimming with unshed tears. But I'm not sure if I even feel like a brother. Sometimes I feel more like a sister. My heart ached at the weight of his confession. Jake had been struggling with his identity, feeling trapped between two worlds, and I hadn't even realized it. I squeezed his hand reassuringly. If that's how you feel, then that's who you are. You don't have to hide it from me. I'll help you, okay? From that moment on, I made it my mission to help Jake, or rather, to help the person she was becoming. We didn't have all the answers, and there were still plenty of questions swirling around in both of our minds, but one thing was clear. Jake wasn't just my brother anymore. She was someone who needed to explore her true self, and I was determined to be there for her every step of the way. One evening, after our conversation, I knocked on her bedroom door. When she opened it, I smiled and held up a shopping bag. I thought we could have some fun tonight, I said, stepping inside. I bought a few things I think you'll like. Her eyes lit up with curiosity as she peeked inside the bag. There were a few dresses, some makeup essentials, and a pair of heels. Nothing too extravagant, but enough to get her started. She looked at me, a mixture of excitement and nerves playing across her face. Are you sure? She asked, her voice tinged with uncertainty. I don't know if I'm ready for this. I smiled and sat down on her bed, patting the spot next to me. You don't have to do anything you're not ready for, but I figure we could take it slow. No pressure, just us. She hesitated for a moment before nodding and sitting down beside me. Together, we unpacked the bag, and I showed her how to apply the makeup, starting with the basics: foundation, eyeliner, and lipstick. She was a quick learner, and within minutes, she was experimenting with different looks. Next, we tried on the clothes. At first, she was nervous, unsure of how she would look or feel, but as she slipped into one of the dresses, I could see a transformation happening. It wasn't just about the physical change. There was a newfound confidence in her posture, a light in her eyes that hadn't been there before. "You look amazing," I said sincerely, watching as she admired herself in the mirror. She blushed, a small smile playing on her lips. "It feels right. I don't know how to explain it, but it just feels like this is who I'm supposed to be." The days that followed were filled with small but significant milestones. We started referring to her by a new name, Jess. It was a name she had always liked, and it felt like the right fit for the person she was becoming. Jess began experimenting with different outfits, finding her own style. Sometimes it was something as simple as a cute blouse and jeans. Other times it was a flowing dress that made her feel truly feminine. But it wasn't just about clothes or makeup. Jess was learning to accept herself in ways she hadn't before. There were moments of doubt, of course, moments when she questioned whether she was doing the right thing, whether people would accept her, or whether she would ever feel comfortable in her own skin. But in those moments, I reminded her that she wasn't alone, that I was there for her no matter what. One evening, after a particularly tough day at school, Jess came home looking defeated. She had overheard some kids making cruel comments about another student who was rumored to be gay, and it had hit close to home. "I don't know if I can do this," she confessed, her voice trembling with emotion. "What if people find out? What if they treat me the same way?" I pulled her into a hug, holding her close as she let out the tears she had been holding back. "It's not going to be easy," I said softly. "But you're strong, Jess. Stronger than you think. And you don't have to go through this alone. I'll be with you every step of the way, and there are people out there who will accept you for who you are." She sniffled, pulling away slightly to look at me. "Do you really think so?" "I know so. And one day, you'll look back on all of this and see how far you've come." As Jess grew more comfortable with her identity, there was one major hurdle we hadn't yet crossed: telling our parents. They were loving and supportive, but we weren't sure how they would react to such a big revelation. Jess was terrified of disappointing them, of not being accepted by the two people she loved most. One evening, after a long discussion, we decided it was time. Jess couldn't keep hiding who she was, and our parents deserved to know. We sat them down in the living room, my heart pounding in my chest as I prepared to help Jess navigate this conversation. "Mom, Dad," Jess began, her voice wavering slightly. "There's something I need to tell you. Something I've been struggling with for a long time." Our parents exchanged concerned glances, their attention fully on her. "I've been trying to figure out who I am, and I've realized that I'm not the person you think I am." She paused, taking a deep breath. "I'm not Jake. I'm Jess. I'm your daughter." The silence that followed was deafening. My heart raced as I waited for their reaction, praying that they would respond with love and understanding. Finally, my mom spoke, her voice soft and full of emotion. "Oh, sweetheart," she said, tears welling up in her eyes. "Why didn't you tell us sooner?" Jess looked down, her hands trembling. "I was scared. I didn't want to disappoint you." My dad, who had been quiet up until that point, reached out and gently took Jess's hand. "You could never disappoint us, Jess. We love you no matter what." The relief that washed over Jess was palpable. She broke down in tears, and our parents immediately enveloped her in a warm embrace. I watched with a mixture of pride and gratitude, knowing that Jess had taken a huge step forward in her journey. As time went on, Jess continued to blossom into the person she was always meant to be. She started seeing a therapist who specialized in gender identity, and with their help, she began exploring the possibility of transitioning more fully. It was a long and sometimes difficult process, but with each step, Jess grew more confident and sure of herself. Our parents, true to their word, supported her every step of the way. They attended therapy sessions with her, educated themselves about what it meant to be transgender, and made sure she knew she was loved unconditionally. Our family dynamic shifted in some ways, but it remained as strong as ever. By the time Jess started hormone replacement therapy, she had fully embraced her identity. She no longer saw herself as the shy, uncertain boy she once was. She was a confident, beautiful young woman with her whole future ahead of her. Looking back on that first day, when I discovered my brother, now my sister, trying on my dress, I realized how far we had come. Jess's journey had been full of challenges, but it had also been filled with moments of joy, self-discovery, and growth. She had gone from being my quiet, introverted brother to becoming my vibrant, confident sister, and I couldn't be more proud of her. Our bond had only grown stronger through the process, and I knew that no matter what the future held, we would always have each other's backs. Jess had taught me so much about courage, resilience, and the importance of being true to oneself. And in helping her become the person she was always meant to be, I had learned more about myself as well. Jess is my sister, and she always will be. From brother to sister, her journey was one of transformation, but it was also a testament to the power of love, acceptance, and family. And through it all, I was honored to be a part of her story. Thank you so much for watching till now. It means the world to have you here. This community is all about empowering each other and celebrating the incredible journeys of everyone on their path to living authentically. If you're ever feeling lost or alone, remember you have a whole family here for you. Hit that subscribe button, smash that like button, and let's keep inspiring each other, sending you all the love and strength in the world. Until next time, live your life by your rules.